Hello everyone, my name is Adara Sain and my topic is COVID's impact on obstetrics and gynecology. I chose this topic because I want to be an OBGYN, and throughout the pandemic, COVID has affected a lot of things that we do not know about or aren't aware about, and they're not being talked about. Obstetrics and gynecology is one of them. This topic is important because it brings more awareness to the field as well as the impact that COVID has had on it. Throughout my research, I've split it up into three departments: one being getting to know the virus, two being in lockdown, and three the aftermath. So, my first topic was getting to know the virus, which is basically about the introduction of COVID, how we got introduced to it, where it came from, and how has it affected us in the beginning. So we really started to get introduced to the virus around March of 2020, which is where things started to go downhill. People were getting more susceptible to the disease, and then we had a lot of cases where they became fatal. This is where many moms, new moms, pregnant moms, had became stressed out because they're more susceptible to the virus. Being that they're pregnant, they're not only breathing for themselves, but they're breathing for an embryo or a fetus. For those who aren't aware, COVID-19 is a virus that affects your respiratory system, which is your breathing and everything else in this part of your chest. During this time, there wasn't a lot of information we had on the virus except for it being extremely contagious with being around people and breathing in the same air. Therefore, it was really hard for everyone to, move around it and know how to get out of harm's way when there wasn't really much that we were told about this virus. My second topic is called being in lockdown, which consists of us being in quarantine after the melee of the introduction of COVID. During this time, schools were shut down, hospitals were starting to let a lower amount of people into the hospital, and businesses were shut down. So it was really hard for new moms to maintain prenatal care, hospital visits, and being around other family members during this motherhood of journey of motherhood. With businesses being shut down and hospitals taking extreme care of how many patients are in and allowed, it's really hard for, new moms to, experience this journey well and thoroughly. So during this time, stress levels were an all-time high, which is why I have this presentation here in the middle of my poster, which is the depression anxiety percentages before COVID-19 and after and during. So during COVID-19, depression went from a 15% to 40.7%. Anxiety before COVID was 29%. That got increased up to 72% during COVID-19 pandemic. So throughout lockdown or quarantine, as we would call it, the mental health levels and stress levels were increasing by high percentages, which has an effect on the baby as well, which is COVID's effect on obstetrics and gynecology, and how this all ties into each other. My third topic is called the aftermath. Being that we are out of quarantine, but we're still in the midst of a pandemic, there are certain changes that we have to adapt to, especially new moms during this time. One of the changes being how many people are allowed during the birth. This has been a very controversial topic for new moms or moms carrying, on how they can have their family members with them at this time. So due to COVID and having social distancing, there can only be one family member, either that's the partner or the woman's mom in the room with them while giving birth, which has also caused increased stress levels during this time. Even after the baby is born, COVID has affected doctors' visits with newborns. Of course, newborns having been just born, their respiratory system is a little underdeveloped as ours. Their air must be clear for them to breathe properly, and they're very susceptible to any germs or bacteria in the air, which makes it harder for them, to be healthy, and harder for the parent or the mom, to keep them healthy during this time of COVID, with everything, being socially distancing and everyone being clear of, diseases and bacteria or germs. So ultimately, COVID's impact on obstetrics and gynecology has really had a negative impact on, new moms, and moms carrying, and even after that when the baby is born. So With that being said, obstetrics and gynecology isn't really a field that's talked about much, but it has been negatively impacted so much throughout this whole pandemic, and it's still being, impacted quite a bit by this virus that we're still dealing with, and it's still here, that, we have to deal with and everything. So, I would like to thank Dr. Schuster for helping me with this project and, trying to get my ideas on paper and everything. And those are the works cited. And thank you for coming into my presentation and listening.